Good afternoon, my friend. It's Patrick Allman from Stop Doing Nothing Media. And today I thought we would talk a little bit about how to make your account and the assets in your account more dynamic. This is kind of near and dear to my heart because I'm a recovering programmer. And when you work in programming, one of the things you learn is you store stuff in variables all the time. So in your code and in your logic, you can always do if this, then that, or you can dynamically put things inside of your content based on variables when you're programming. And you can do this inside of a HighLevel account also. So we're going to be talking about a few different ways to do this. And if you ever see some things inside my account that aren't in your account, that may just be some beta things, try to ignore those. But I'm going to show you some different ways you can make your account more dynamic. And there's one here that is just really near and dear to my heart that I use with my prospects all the time. So what you see in front of you is inside of our training account, and like I'm going to tell people, I tell all the time, if you're a HighLevel agency, please make sure that you have some kind of testing training account. Okay, it's great for demos, especially if you're on Zoom real quick and you're working with a prospect or even an active client and you want to show them something, but you don't want to muck up your account. So for example, my training account has a bunch of test I actually set it up to do email, but it has a bunch of test, as you see here, 500 test prospects in it. I went to some website and said generate 500 random prospects, and I imported them inside here. Okay, I don't ever email them, but they're here so I can test business logic and things like that. So what I want to talk to you about today, the stuff that I really geek out on this stuff. I don't just make this video for fun. I use this stuff every single day. Is over here. These are the different kinds of things that we can use inside of HighLevel to make things dynamic. And I just really quickly type this up as some different levels. You have system level data, which is like the date, the time zone, the day of the week, stuff like that. I really like that kind of stuff when you're saying, happy day, and it could be happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. The email and the page works as it's dynamic, and so it looks, like it's happening right then and there. Location company level. This one came up recently in a discussion where somebody was wondering, why do you fill in company information on a new sub account, but then you have to go define the user later because they thought that when you create a new sub account, that email address and everything you get that gets filled in, they thought that created a user, and that's not true. So there's location and company level information you can use in your pages and your emails and things like that. There's transaction levels, like the total amount of an order that can be dynamically inserted into an email and other places. That one's really good for if you want to send stuff back to, I think, the Facebook conversion API or something like that. You can send the amount back. I believe that's possible. Page level, which is one of my favorite ones, where you can basically pass data to a page and make the page dynamic based on the data that's coming to it. And oftentimes you'll see this referred to UTMs. They technically aren't all UTMs. They're called query strings, and UTM is a type of query string. We'll be covering that for sure. And then contact level, stuff you're used to seeing, opportunity custom fields, contact custom fields, things like that. Those are kind of things that I think most people are used to working with. So the first one I want to cover here is system level date time information. So when you are in let's hop over here into an email. And by the way, I do prep for this stuff, but oftentimes I am working on it I'm not gonna say off the cuff, but I want you to see my thinking process as I'm working through this. So I don't prepare like all these great examples ahead of time because I want you to see that, I'm human just like everybody else. So when you're over here, working inside of an email template, let's say, for example, there's system level information you can put inside the email. And let's edit this one right here. Actually, let's do that. Let's come over here. I'll leave that large. Let's make that left justified so it doesn't kill my brain there. Come on. Okay, whatever. Leave it there. So you can say something for the system level that says, how is your, and as soon as you start typing a left bracket here, what you should, well, I guess that takes, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. In this particular, so sometimes this works, the bracket trick works inside of pages, not inside of email. So inside of emails, what you have to do is come over here to your custom, this one says custom values, but custom values and custom fields are technically different things. But here, custom values are where you go for custom values and custom fields. Just a little bit of an inconsistency there in HighLevel. No big deal. We're not going to rake them over the coals for it. But you can do stuff like come down here to right now and put in like the day of the week in extended English, the month, the year, and these are just different ways to make your content evergreen or dynamic. So for example, in my case, you might say, how is your going here, right there, okay? And that way, whenever the email is sent out, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the day of the week is inserted in there. And this, along with all the other things I'm doing, are just like little tiny tweaks you can do in your marketing to make it seem more personable, more real time. The phrase I like to use is more dynamic, but if someone says, how is your day going? It's a little bit less effective than saying, how is your Thursday going? We use marketing emails to make it seem like, let's not lie about this. We're using it to make it seem like we're the ones that actually typed out the emails, okay? So even though we're not always doing that, it's good to put it, it's good to, kind of fake a little bit and put it and use dynamic things like this to put that in there. So I like to do that inside of emails. And something I like to do is I like to put my name in there, but I also realize that for people I work for who have sales teams, and also for my team, I may not always be the contact owner. So as long as you set the contact owner, then I don't always sign off my emails with a hard-coded name. I'll use another value in here, and I will come in here, and I will go over to user, because user is the person that owns the email, and I'll put user first name right here, okay? So mine might say, hope you have a great day, and then user first name in there, and then whoever the contact is that owns that user, that will get inserted in there. And that really works well also if you do something like, let me see, I think it's up here in settings. In settings, I will, from the from name, I will put user full name, which is the contact owner, and I will user email, which is the email address of the owner, okay? And I'll put something in here. This is your special, and of course we're going to be dynamic. So we're going to say day right here. This is your special email. This is your special right now day email. Save all that. And so I've made this whole thing very dynamic there. Now make sure if you're going to use user information that inside of an automation, that you make sure you set the account owner ahead of time. So I'm going to come over here real quick, and this is August 18th. I'm going to say 2024 0818 demo email, so we can come back to that later. So that's a quick example of how you can put real-time, right now information inside of an email. So what was our next one? Oh, company level information. This is really good for situations where if you're an agency and you're setting up sub-accounts, this information about the sub-account, the address, the company name, the business name, all this stuff is available to put inside of page names and emails also. So what you can do with this information, and you see that a lot of the high-level templates come like this, is when you're working on something like a page here, we'll go to my training website right here. When you're working on something like a page here, you can take that company, if you're building templates, for example, you can take that company information and you can insert it right down here in a page. And this again is very helpful. Now, when you're working inside of a page, the little bracket trick does work. So if you're putting information inside of a page here, and you want it to be dynamic, you can come down here and start typing that, and then the whole list pops up right here, which makes it very easy to find. Oftentimes the stuff is not in the same order that it would be inside of another place. Just sometimes there's some UI inconsistencies, and it's also important to note that your agency level custom values are here, as well as your contact level information, appointment information, and then this would be company / sub account information right here. So that's something else I would encourage you to do, if at all possible, inside of your emails and inside of your page templates, is use, what did I call it here? I called it location / company level information. I believe HighLevel was originally developed to manage multiple locations for a single business, but that really these days is more like a sub account / company / client level information, let's call it, okay? Something else that's really cool is, transaction level information is dynamic. So you can do stuff like, let's save this. And here's one that I really like to see. Let's save this just so I don't lose my examples here. I like to see it that when over here in an automation, for example, let's whip up a quick automation for you guys. Start automation. let's say something is triggered based on an order, right? So you're going to come down here and you're going to say, oh, this order was submitted and this was for one of my products. Let's pick a product here. Product is we'll say, monthly membership course one right here. And let's say that you want to keep your opportunity information up to date. We'll make sure we'll label this one 2024 0818 sample. Let's say you want to update the opportunity information to match the amount, because you never, maybe the deal is worth 3,000 in the beginning, but towards the end they negotiate you down to 2,800, and you want to make sure the opportunity reflects that. What you can do then is come in here, and first of all, I'm going to show you how I build my automations, and I would encourage you to take some of these habits into advisement also. I always assign to user as very first thing inside of every automation. That way, that other email thing I use where I was using the email address of the user and the email name of the user dynamically, it's always filled in. But to do that, this is one of the first things you always have to do inside of an automation. So I always assign to user, and then I like to add notes. So you can do stuff cool here like add to notes. Even though the purchase history will be in there, I like seeing stuff in notes also because it gives me more of a chronological order kind of thing. So I might put a note here that says client made a purchase for, and then let's dynamically fill in the amount here, order, total cart price right there. Okay, so that'll be in the notes, but here's the really fun part I like. Let's go look for the opportunity because we will update the opportunity now. Inside of my main pipeline, we're going to say that first of all, we're going to update it to, let's just say update it to pending contract stage. We're also going to mark it as 1, right? So we're going to mark it as 1, and then the lead value now, we are going to fill in the purchase amount, order total right there. So all of your opportunities will reflect real time accurately to the penny what the person actually made the purchase for. Okay, loving that right there. That's pretty cool stuff. As always, save early, save often. You cannot click the save button too much. And those of you who I've had a debate with about, oh, it should auto save. Yeah, well, it should do lots of things, but it doesn't. And when you lose, a 10-step automation at 1 o'clock in the morning, what you wish and what you hope it does doesn't really help. So save early, save often. I learned that very, very early inside of my IT career. So that's one way right there. You can use the transaction level information. Now the page level one is one I also figure out that's really cool is I'm going to jump over here to my Google Doc for a second and kind of show you how this works. So this is the way pages work on the internet. And for some of you, this is old school information. You've known this since back in the days of dial-up internet. And for some of you, it's brand new information. Okay, so obviously whenever you have a page, this is your page URL. This is actually called the protocol, for those of you that care, or this is the protocol, I believe. This is the domain. And then obviously you can have pages and stuff underneath here. We're going to keep this one really simple. The first dynamic parameter you pass after a URL always has to begin with a question mark, and then all the rest are ampersands, okay? All of these are called the query strings or various query strings, okay? You are probably used to seeing UTMs, which are a type of query strings that Google established for us a long time ago. I mean, an industry standard back so long ago, before Google Analytics was called Google Analytics. It was called, I think it was called Urchin Tracking Manager or something, and that's where UTM comes from. Is there's 3 or 4 primary UTM variables that you can use out there, and those have just been carried forward in the different version of Google Analytics. But also we made them as a standard way of tracking traffic, detailed traffic, and where it's coming from. So Google has kind of made all these other industry tools use that. And by the way, if you're ever interested, there's a cool tool over here. Let me see if I can figure out where I stored it. Is it over here? Goodness gracious, where is it? You know what? It's got to be. Let me look it up here for you, real quick in another screen. And is this it? Yeah, there's a really cool UTM builder I like at utmbuilder.net. So come over here to utmbuilder.net, and you can put in you can basically, these first three are the most important: source, medium, and campaign. Right there, those are the most important. Fill those in, and then it'll build this for you. It'll build these UTMs for you. But my whole point about this is you can actually pass anything, and this can come from ad copy. This can come from linking from another site, which is really important. Maybe if you're doing inbound SEO and you want to track where some of your lead sources are coming from, or you want to pass other information that's not UTM related, you can basically pass whatever you want. You can pass animal, you can pass city, you can pass parm1, parm2 like I used here. And these can be stored inside of custom variables for a contact, I believe, but also you can use them in the page content. So over here is an example. This is an opt-in page I have set up, and it looks pretty generic, pretty plain Jane to you. But if I come over here and I say, oh, you know what, what's the first one, question mark, parm1 equals plumber, then all of a sudden the page will dynamically update and it'll say plumber right here. This, by the way, was another page update I had made. It just happens to refresh right here. Now, how'd you get that? Again, you come over here to when you're working on the page, and that, I believe this is this page over here under my sites, websites, training, and it's this opt-in page right here. And then what I did, you might have seen this earlier, is you put in, you basically just put in exactly what you typed over here on the query string. So parm1, parm2, those are just quick examples. Like I said, you can put anything there, pass your data, and then it will dynamically fill it in your page right here. I would encourage you also to make sure though that your page content makes sense with or without the parameter being passed in. Because let's say for some reason you're using an inbound link for some specific marketing campaign, and you give it to your buddy, and for some reason your buddy misspells parm, P-R-A-M versus P-A-R-M, well, then your page wouldn't work and the content wouldn't show up there. So just make sure that you're, as with all dynamic content, make sure or try to make sure that it makes sense with or without the dynamically inserted information, okay? And so that's kind of some cool stuff you can do to pass to your page right here. By the way, one of the things on my wish list is I've come from a different tool where you can conditionally you can use these parameters to conditionally hide and show information on here. So let's say you had a page with 2 opt-in blocks. You can basically you can use this gear. Again, this is a different tool, and I'm hoping it's going to come to HighLevel someday. There's a different tool where that information you can use like an if-then on the page and say, if parm1 equals plumber, then show this block and hide this block, and vice versa. Unless I'm wrong, that is not available in HighLevel yet, but I can guarantee you I have added this to the ideas board. So go vote that puppy up. And then the last one here, which I really like, is using contact level and opportunity level fields. Obviously, we know we can have custom fields and we can store that and we can use that in business logic. But what I really like about it, one of my favorite cases of using this that I've set up for other consultants, other agencies, things like that, is using this to decide how to progress with the sales process, okay? And here's an example here that I love to use. So over in my custom fields, settings, custom fields, we're gonna go for, look for my op fields. We're going to look for my interested product fields. Product of interest. This is a drop down that I set up for almost everybody that has, why do we have to check that and click that? I don't know. So I like to set up all the different things they sell here because I may use these in the business logic later when deciding how to email somebody information about contract signing. And again, this is a really fun one. It's one of my favorite things right here before I wrap up this video. Is I'm going to come here to automation, okay? And what I do is whenever I have opportunities and things are dragged here in between them, I like to make sure that people are getting the right information, because some of us sell more than one product, right? So what I like to say is, if I'm going to, let's say I want to set it up so when I drag this over here, it sends the person the contract, okay? And then it sits inside of pending contract. So how I would do that, okay? Over here in automation, do I have an automation for this yet? No, I don't think so. Okay, cool. So we're going to create a new automation, and we're going to do this from scratch. And we're going to say send client contract. Okay, got it. Send client contract. And this is going to happen when the opportunity pipeline stage is changed. And that is when it is going to be in pipeline, my main pipeline here. And when it goes to pending, pending contract stage. Okay. So this basically, this will get triggered once somebody, this is changed over to the pending the pending contract stage. Of course, you know me, I like to add my notes in here, and I'm going to say, moved to pending contract. Okay, save early, save often. Let's save that. And then what I like to do here is, depending on the product that someone's selling, they're going to get different order forms and different contracts, right? So what I'll do here is I'll put in an if block here that says if and what product or what contract do I send, right? And I'm going to say either I'm sending product 1 or I'm sending, let's finish up product 1. And so for that, what I do is I come down here to the opportunities field, I go pick the product of interest field, and I say if the product of interest is product 1, then I'll go down that one, okay? Same thing with product 2. If product of interest is opportunities, product of interest is product 2, then you've got that one there. Now, this last part is going to be kind of a personal preference thing. I'm going to tell you the way I like to do it, and you may choose to do it a different way. At this point, you can assume if something's not product 1, not product 2, then it must be product 3. So a lot of people will just come down here and put in product 3. However, let's say just through changing stuff over time, somebody adds a product 4 and a product 5 and does not remember to update this. Well, then you're kind of screwed, because if somebody, if someone has marked the product of interest as product 4 or 5, then they're going to get product 3 information, and you do not want that. So what I personally prefer to do is to make sure that every single make sure that every single option is selected, and then kind of have an error condition if a product isn't selected, or if it's a different product. So this is going to be, product 3, Patrick, learn how to type, opportunity, product of interest is product 3, okay? And then, excuse me, I need to come back here and say something like, whoops, no product set. So this is where you can get really fancy right here. So if no product is set, number 1, I want to do an internal notification to go remind the person owner that this isn't set. But what I would also do in my particular case is I would move that opportunity back to the previous phrase and previous area and stop. So I'm going to move this back to, we're in the main pipeline. Let's see, what was it? Pending call 1. So we went from pending call 1 to pending contract. I would actually move this back to pending call 1. The rest of this is going to, we're going to leave it open, okay? And I'm going to send contracts over here. Whoops, no product set. And I'm going to push this back to pending call 1. And then what I would also do here is I would set an internal notification to email, we'll say from the CRM, blah@yahoo.com, and this is going to be the assigned user, and error, no interested product set for, and put in the contact email address here, put that down here and save that. Again, we're doing quick and dirty stuff right here. What did I miss here? Please check the values for valid inputs. Which one did I miss? Everyone's probably seeing it right here in front of me. subject, templates. What did I miss? Oh, ugh, I hate this HighLevel. Whenever, because .email is a valid domain, that whenever you have this thing where you insert contact.email in there, the email editor actually believes it's a domain. So you have to backspace over that and type that in contact.email. Save this, save this. And so again, the way this works is when that is dragged over to the sending contract stage, it comes down here, it adds a note. Matter of fact, let's make this note even more fancy. Move to pending contract for product, and we'll make this dynamic, right, for product opportunity, product of interest right there. So we'll make that note a little bit more fancy. And then, what you can do down here is for each of these is you have a send documents and contracts from user here, and you may have a variety of templates here. So in my case, I have a different contract template for each person, for each kind of service that we offer, just slightly altered because there's different products in there. You may have a template for 1, 2, 3, and that's basically what you send there. And let me see, what else do I, so what contract, so send documents and contracts. So there it would sit there, and then when the signature comes in, it would move them along further in pipeline. Now, the way I would have done this in the real world, to tell you the truth, I just noticed this is it's not detailed enough for me. First of all, let's of course save and come back here. What I would have done, and the way it works inside of my live account, is inside my pipeline. I get really fancy and I say I have a stage here that says send contract, okay? And that stage is going to be right up here before pending contract. I bet you some of you were thinking about this in the beginning, saying, Patrick, why are you making it too hard? And then after the pending call 1, when I drag it over to send contract, it would do all the work, and then this automation over here would happen over in pending contract, right? So let's go back to the automation here. Where's my cool automation? So this is the way I would do it, like I said, in the real world. So when it's sent over to, that's not right, is it? That's not the right one. Let's come over here to, which one did I just add? Probably right here. What's the date on today? August, send client contract. Here we go. So what I would do here is when the pipeline stage is sent to send contract, that's when all this would kick off. And then what I would do is once I know I have a valid product and I've sent the contract over, then I would update the opportunity automatically to in the main pipeline over here into the pending contract pipeline. And this is just such cool stuff, if you ask me. So save that. Always publish. Thank goodness we don't have to worry anymore about allow reentry being on, because that's on all the time. But then I would do this exact same thing for each one of these. Is I would copy this, copy all actions from here to over here, copy all actions from here to here, and then of course you're going to update your send documents and contracts into the appropriate contract. And then what I would also do is I would get, again, fancy right here, is I would probably put a wait here to wait maybe an hour, because you're only going to send this to someone who's ready to get going right now. And then I would redirect all of these other ones, all these go-tos to the wait right here. And again, I'm kind of actually going beyond the whole dynamic thing, but this is called kind of tied together right here. So basically up here, it's going to fork off to these 3 different areas based on the contract that's going to be sent. And then at the end, to tell you the truth, actually, you know what I could have done? Goodness gracious, Patrick, let's make this even better. Let's keep this clean, okay? Actually, we're gonna leave the go-to there. These can all go away, right? We don't need this. This part is the same for all 3 paths. So delete action, delete, and then I'm going to break my link right here, push it up here, break my link right here, and push it up here. Okay? Click on that. Do it. There we go. So It's going to go down the unique path for each product here, and then send the go-to back over here where you're going to wait. And then this is where you might remind either the user or the person who owns the opportunity that, hey, the contract's been sent, hasn't been signed in an hour. You might want to check. Maybe you'd rather do it 3 hours or a day or whatever. Either way, once you've sent that contract, then you want to get some reminders that, or you want to basically keep the tickler file open. And the one last thing I'll cover is the way I also do this in mine and other people's is once the contract is signed, I actually move it to send payment. I have a send payment one. And I have some of that same dynamic product-based logic in the send payment one. And then I have, and then basically once the payment happens, is automatically close the opportunity. So in my particular workflow, once I drag something here from send contract, it goes to send contract, pending contract, send order form. From that point forward, it's all automated. So this stuff in the middle might be automatic, but this stuff right here, let's watch this. Let's see if we can do this real time. Did I turn that automation on? Let's drag this over here, send contract. Let's see, if I'm not mistaken, we will get to watch this real time. Just jump over to the other column, assuming that this is where we're testing stuff real time, assuming I did that correctly and I didn't screw that up. Is it going to happen? You know what? This is why we test stuff. So I missed something in there. Let's make sure that I did that. Let's refresh that. And let's make sure I did that correctly. Oh, let's see. What did I mess up here, Patrick? Send client contract. Create or opt-out opportunity to, so did I do that right? So is this triggered from the send? This is triggered from the send contract, and this is triggered from the other. Either way, you get the whole point there. So hopefully that helps you. Try to use, as you're building out automations and emails and whatnot and your pages, try to use more dynamic information. It'll make your life a lot easier, especially for those of you who are building snapshots and want to basically be able to reuse that snapshot information in between different accounts. You know the deal. Ask questions in the comments. Have a great, great day. We'll talk to you soon.